I want to talk first just about why she's here and why she's a perfect choice for us. A couple of things, first of all, she's basketball royalty in the state of Indiana. Let's just start there. But, for me, it was really about bringing a proven leader, somebody who has great experience in tough moments, great experience in playoff moments, in high-pressure situations. I watched her as a player. I watched her as a coach. She knows how to take those moments and never get too high, never get too low. Just a high basketball intellect. The way that she communicates with her players is very impressive. I feel fortunate, really, that we're sitting here and that we have this chance to, at this pivotal time, to really go back to work and finish some unfinished business that we had from 2015 when we left that one hanging.
What's up, Fever Nation? I believe I have discovered the undiscoverable. I think I have stepped into the mind of Stephanie White, and I'm going to tell you, it was a mine, M-I-N-E, field while I was inside the head of Stephanie White. But here's what I came up with, Fever Nation. I think I'm starting to understand the makeup of this team and why Stephanie is going in the direction that she has. It is my firm belief, and in the next few minutes or more, I'm going to prove it to you that Stephanie White is trying to recreate either the 2012 roster or the 2015, or a combination of the championship team when she was an assistant coach with the Indiana Fever. That's right. Let me say that again. Stephanie White is trying to recreate the roster in 2026. But her template is the 2012 combination remix 2015 team. As you heard Kelly Crosskop in the intro, they want to finish some unfinished business. This has nothing, well, I'm not going to say it doesn't have anything to do with basketball, but their friendship goes all the way back to 2012 when Lynn Dunn was the head coach, and I think she was a GM, but Kelly Crosskop was in the front office, kind of in the spot where she is now. Amber Cox, at the time of 2012, she was a Phoenix Mercury chief operating officer. I think she was the mind behind the money. How to make these deals work, how to do the contracts to make it all fit. Obviously, they're dealing with a much bigger budget now, but that's Amber Cox's job. I don't know if she has quite the relationship with Kelly and Stephanie and Lynn Dunn. So she's kind of the outsider in this group, unless there was some other things going on personally in their lives. Without further ado, let's continue. I asked ChatGPT, what was the strength of the WNBA champs 2012 Indiana Fever? And this is what I found. The 2012 Indiana Fever championship team was built more on defense, toughness, experience, and chemistry than overwhelming offensive power. Let me read that again, Fever Nation, because I'm sure some of you all are shocked because y'all thought I was playing with y'all. I ain't playing. I ain't got no time to play. The 2012 Indiana Fever championship team was built more on defense, toughness, experience, and chemistry than overwhelming offensive power. They were not considered a super team, but they were one of the smartest and most disciplined championship teams in WNBA history. Now, I'm just getting started, Fever Nation. I'm just getting started. Oh, there's a lot more to unpack. But let's just take this, for instance. Defense, Raven Johnson and Bree Hall. Toughness, experience, there's no substitute for experience. Chemistry, than overwhelming offensive power. You know, remember when Caitlin was shooting them logo threes and she was on the bench irate. Most coaches would be like, hey. Okay, good shot. But Stephanie, she was fuming. She was fuming, Fever Nation, when Caitlin was pulling up them logo threes. Now, if she wasn't hitting them, I could understand the drama. But she was knocking them down. And when you shoot a shot that deep and you barely touch any iron, that's a pretty good shot. I would call that a pretty good shot. I would marvel as a coach, coaching a player like that. I would marvel at such a feat. But Stephanie White was irate. Let's continue. Here is what made them strong. Elite defense. Remember when they drafted Raven Johnson, Stephanie White, Amber Cox. That's all they said. Oh, she can play elite defense. And for all you Raven Johnson fans, Gamecocks, I'm not knocking her defensive prowess.
You know, first and foremost, she's a winner. I mean, she's won at every level. She's set the tone at every level. You know, she's immediately ready on the defensive end of the floor, which is something that we need. We need somebody who can come in and make an impact on that end of the floor. You know, she's immediately ready on the defensive end of the floor, which is something that we need. We need somebody who can come in and make an impact on that end of the floor.
It's possible that she could have been somebody that went in the top 4 or 5. What makes you think of her talent that highly, and how excited are you to have gotten right now?
I mean, you know, look, she is the Defensive Player of the Year. She is the Defensive Player of the Year. Obviously, her length. I don't know her exact wingspan, but but we've heard it's like 6'2". So to be able to defend multiple positions on the court, I think having that for, a rookie coming in for several years, along with Caitlin, obviously with Kelsey, makes us really, really tough and gives us so much depth, especially on the defensive end of the floor.
Okay, let me make that clear. I'm not knocking Raven Johnson's ability to play elite defense. Okay, elite defense. That was in college now. We saw a few good games, a few good moments where she was playing good defense. Okay, we're not going to get into what happened last game, but remember Amber and Stephanie in the interview, post-draft interviews. That's all they were telling the press. Elite defense. Elite. Oh, she can play elite defense. Indiana allowed 72.3 points per game, among the league's best defenses. Tamika Catchings at her peak. Tamika Catchings was the emotional and competitive engine of the team. She averaged 17.4 points, 7.6 rebounds, won Finals MVP, and also won Defensive Player of the Year that season. Now, Stephanie's calling cards is supposed to be defense. Now, we're still waiting on to see that. Now, I said in a couple of videos, Stephanie, you got to start out with small bites, finger sandwiches, when you're trying to teach this defense. If you're trying to run a sophisticated defense, Stephanie, you have to start with a foundation of what the players can actually execute. And then slowly, very slowly, build on that foundation. Run what they can execute flawlessly, Stephanie. When they have mastered that, then introduce the next phase, Stephanie. You can't give them, you can't feed someone with a fire hydrant hose. Someone asks for a drink, you want to give them a drink out of the fire hydrant hose. No, Stephanie, they need a water bottle. Okay? Maybe a sippy cup. With this sophisticated defense you're trying to run, it may require a sippy cup. But you have to start small, Stephanie, especially if you're going to try and resurrect this team again, Stephanie. Now, before we continue, I have an idea what some of you all are saying. How can we reproduce with Tamika Catchings? We don't have a Tamika Catchings. Actually, we do. She's just not colored. She's white. Tamika Catchings on this team is white. Okay, not Stephanie White. Okay, she's white. Remember, they're trying to move her off ball so she can play small forward. Yeah, I told y'all I'm not playing around with y'all. I'm not playing no more. Let's continue on to the next bullet. Perimeter defense. Breon January. Now, who is Breon January? Is she the defensive coordinator of this team? Breon January was one of the league's best defensive guards and helped slow stars like Simone Augustus during the finals. Now, if y'all know Simone Augustus, now I watched a little of women's college basketball. I think Simone Augustus went to LSU. She could put in some work. Now, if they said Breon January slowed her down, I see where we going. But now, do you all see where Stephanie is going? She went and drafted a player who can just play defense, a defensive specialist. Now, if this were football, that would be marvelous because the offense would come on the field after we get the ball back. After we get the ball back. But if we get a steal, she immediately goes from this great defensive guard to a point guard or a off-ball point or a combo, like Stephanie want to say, a combo guard. She has to be able to distribute. She has to go from one mindset to the other instantaneously without thinking about it. Think about when Caitlin gets that ball, her head is up. She's looking up the floor, deciphering any weaknesses and flaws in the defense. Anyone that has their head turned away from Caitlin, CC, you're going to be exploited. Let's continue. Veteran leadership. The roster had experienced players, including Katie Douglas, Tammy Sutton Brown, and Aaron Phillips. Now, I don't know any of these players. Now, I'm just stay with me. Depth and role acceptance. Players like Shavante Zealous and Elena Larkins gave the team rebounding energy and clutch playoff performances. Mental toughness. Indiana repeatedly responded in elimination situations during the playoffs and upset the defending champions Minnesota Lynx in the finals. Now, if you look at a player like KK Timpson, athletic ability, great athletic ability, okay, can get up and down the floor. She does things. She is a role player. I don't want to say strictly anything, but she's definitely a role player. Vital to most teams. I dare say, don't go off the rails, Fever Nation, but she's like our Dennis Rodman. She can rebound, run the floor, and defend. She can be a problem for most teams once she understands this scheme. This thing is so sophisticated because Fever Nation, this is the second year in a row where the rotations are not being made crisply in the games. They're losing coverages. They're getting caught up on coverage responsibilities. They have breakdowns in coverage. The rotations are still in year 2. Stephanie, you're giving them too much. You're feeding them with a fire hydrant hose. You got to back off of this, Stephanie, at least to the point where they understand it. You can't force feed this to them. You have to, again, Stephanie, I'm going to say this the last time I'm going to say it, Fever Nation, and we're moving on. You have to start with what they can execute. And finally, Fever Nation, for this video at least, statistically, they were 22-12 in the regular season. There's a 34-game season. They're playing 10 more games now, so you can kind of do the math. Okay, for a 34-game schedule, 12 games could be a lot of losses. So she may be willing to concede some losses, Fever Nation. Bear with me. Second in the East, third in defensive rating, second best net rating in the league. The biggest strength was probably their identity. They were extremely connected defensively and had one of the greatest leaders in WNBA history in catchings. Many fans and analysts viewed them as an underdog champion because they defeated a more star-heavy Minnesota team led by Maya Moore. Now, Fever Nation, it's one game in, one game down, 43 more to go. As I said in my last video, the only thing that is certain right now, Fever Nation, is the Fever will not be going undefeated. So I'm going to leave you with that right now. There is more to unpack in terms of the demographic breakdown of this team, and I'll get into that in my next video, what I think it may turn out to be and why they're so apprehensive about putting Justine in the lineup or signing her to a rookie deal. I'll get into that more in the next video. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. You all have a blessed day. I hope you've been entertained. I'm out.
You know, first and foremost, she's a winner. I mean, she's won at every level. She's set the tone at every level. You know, she's immediately ready on the defensive end of the floor, which is something that we need. We need somebody who can come in and make an impact on that end of the floor. You know, she's immediately ready on the defensive end of the floor, which is something that we need. We need somebody who can come in and make an impact on that end of the floor.